Look at this towering column of gray ash reaching 30,000 feet into the atmosphere. Yet it seems strangely small compared to the massive 45,000-foot explosion of 2020. Back in 2020, the scientific community remained eerily silent. But today they are frantically issuing warnings because they know that the height of the smoke is actually a deceptive lie. The real horror is not found in what you see in the sky, but rather within the terrifying seismic patterns recorded by sensitive instruments over the last 72 hours of activity. During the year 2023, this restless mountain erupted 21,100 times, which means it was exploding 58 times every single day or twice every single hour. It has been shouting for so long that the entire world simply stopped listening and eventually forgot that one of the most dangerous peaks on Earth was constantly preparing for destruction. We have become blind to the invisible enemy hiding behind these constant clouds of dust, ignoring the fact that a quiet monster is often much more lethal than a loud one. While locals go about their daily lives under a rain of volcanic sand, the internal pressure has reached a critical breaking point that defies everything we understood about this specific mountain. Do not be fooled by the familiar rhythm of these small explosions because the data suggests that the mechanical safety valves of the Earth have finally jammed shut for the first time. This is the story of Mount Ibu, a place where the frequency of disaster became so common that people lost their natural instinct to run away from total annihilation. Prepare yourselves as we uncover why the latest seismic dances are causing global experts to panic while the rest of the world remains blissfully unaware of the coming geological catastrophe. For many decades, volcanologists looked at Mount Ibu with a sense of relief because the constant small eruptions acted like a safety valve for the planet's internal pressure. By releasing gas and ash 21,000 times every single year, the mountain prevented a massive buildup of energy that would otherwise lead to a catastrophic explosion. However, this sense of security was nothing more than a dangerous illusion that masked a much slower and far more terrifying process happening deep inside the volcanic crater. Since the year 1998, a massive structure known as a lava dome has been growing steadily, silently expanding for over 27 consecutive years without stopping. Think of this dome as a giant plug made of sticky, viscous magma that is slowly filling up the throat of the volcano like a cork in a bottle. According to recent laser measurements, this massive plug of solidifying rock is growing by more than 3,182 cubic meters every single day. To visualize this incredible speed, the mountain is producing enough new rock to create a volume of over 1 million cubic meters during every single calendar year. That is equivalent to adding the volume of a large office building or a stadium made of glowing hot stone to the summit every few months of active growth. For nearly 3 decades, the crater walls were strong enough to contain this swelling mass of liquid fire, keeping the danger hidden away from the villages below. But we have now entered a new and deadly phase where the physical limits of the mountain can no longer hold back the sheer weight of the expanding dome. The crater has become completely overfilled, and for the first time in recorded history, the lava dome is beginning to spill over the jagged edges of the summit. When the safety valve stops functioning as a release and starts acting as a physical barrier, the internal pressure from the magma chamber begins to rise to extreme levels. Instead of many small, harmless puffs of smoke, the energy is now being trapped beneath millions of tons of rock, creating a massive geological pressure cooker. Every cubic meter of new lava that pushes upward increases the strain on the weakened crater walls, bringing the entire structure closer to a total structural collapse. The dangerous truth is that the mountain is no longer breathing freely. It is choking on its own waste, and the pressure has nowhere to go but outward. We are currently witnessing the death of a natural balance, as the very mechanism that once kept the surrounding areas safe has now become the ultimate threat. Imagine a container being filled past its capacity while the lid is being welded shut by the cooling crust of the very same material trying to break out. Geologists are watching the tilt of the mountain change by tiny fractions, indicating that the entire northern flank is starting to bulge under the intense internal force. This is the point where the illusion of safety vanishes, replaced by the grim reality that the safety valve has officially broken and the timer has started. If the dome continues to grow at this rate, The physical weight alone will cause the northern breach to shatter, unleashing the power of thousands of years. Every hour that passes without a small eruption is not a moment of peace, but a moment where the ticking clock of the volcano moves closer to zero. While most volcanoes are shaped like a perfect bowl, Mount Ibu has a deadly structural flaw hidden on its northern side that geologists call the northern breach. This massive opening means that the entire lava dome is no longer supported by a wall of stone, leaving it completely exposed to the relentless force of gravity. Instead of being held safely inside a stone fortress, millions of tons of glowing rock are now essentially hanging over the edge of a giant geological cliff. Scientists are now recording a rhythmic vibration known as harmonic tremors, which sound like a terrifying constant hum coming from deep inside the throat of the mountain. These tremors act like a vibrating industrial table, slowly shaking the foundation of the dome and making it lose its grip on the crumbling volcanic rocks below. If a single powerful tremor occurs, the entire northern flank of Mount Ibu could instantly slide away, causing a massive and unpredictable landslide of liquid fire. This collapse would create a directed blast, where the internal pressure is suddenly released sideways instead of going straight up into the vast atmosphere above us. This is the exact same terrifying mechanism that destroyed Mount St. Helens in the year 1980, wiping out everything in its deadly horizontal path. A directed blast moves at supersonic speeds, carrying a wall of hot gas and debris that can flatten entire forests in just a few terrifying seconds. Imagine a tire that is about to burst. If the sidewall fails first, the air explodes horizontally with a force that is impossible to contain. The internal temperature of the dome is over 1,000 degrees Celsius, meaning any collapse would immediately turn the entire mountain into a flowing furnace. As the rock falls, it shatters into fine powder, creating a pyroclastic surge that can travel for many kilometers and vaporize anything it touches. Because the breach faces the north, all the surrounding communities in that direction are living in the direct line of a potential geological firing squad. There are no ridges or valleys deep enough to stop a lateral blast of this magnitude, leaving the innocent people completely exposed to the elements. Every time a new layer of magma is added to the dome, the center of gravity shifts further toward the vulnerable northern opening. The older rocks at the base are suffering from structural fatigue, cracking under the immense weight of 27 years of continuous volcanic growth. Tiny bubbles of gas are trapped inside the dome rock, and when the pressure drops during a collapse, these bubbles expand violently like a bomb. A small landslide at the base could trigger a massive chain reaction, turning a minor event into a global news headline within minutes. We are no longer waiting for a traditional eruption, but rather the inevitable moment when gravity finally wins its battle against the weakened mountain walls. The northern breach has turned Mount Ibu into a leaning tower of fire, a structure so unstable that even a minor earthquake could bring it down. While satellites monitor the ash from above, they cannot see the microscopic cracks forming at the base of the northern cliff face. Physics does not care about human schedules or evacuation plans. No chi tuan theo kak din lut vi koi luong. Trong luong va ap sut noi tai cuc du. Once the northern flank begins to move, there is no power on Earth that can stop the billions of tons of rock from crushing everything in its path. Every single day of growth adds the equivalent weight of 100,000 elephants to a slope that was never meant to hold such a heavy burden. This massive imbalance is the reason why the northern villages are now facing a threat that is 10 times more dangerous than a normal eruption. The fatal flaw has been identified, the northern wall is failing, and the mountain is now tilting toward its final act of absolute destruction. When the Indonesian authorities officially raised the alert status to level 4, the highest possible warning, they were acknowledging a critical shift in the mountain's volcanic behavior. Beneath the surface, hundreds of deep tectonic earthquakes are being recorded every day, signaling that fresh magma is pushing through the Earth's crust with immense internal pressure. This is not just old lava recycling. It is a new surge from the subduction zone of the Pacific Plate, where the hottest and most gas-rich magma exists. The mountain is physically expanding, with the northern flank bulging outward like a balloon that has been filled far past its limit of elastic resistance. We are now seeing the first signs of pyroclastic flows, which are clouds of superheated gas and rock traveling at over 100 meters every single second. At this incredible speed, a wall of death moving at 360 kilometers per hour would leave the nearby villagers with absolutely no time to escape. The village of Sangaji Niku sits only 3 kilometers from the peak, meaning that the residents would have exactly 30 seconds before the fire arrives at their door. No siren can be loud enough and no evacuation plan can be fast enough to outrun a landslide of ash that moves faster than a professional race car. Even more terrifying is the appearance of volcanic lightning, a rare phenomenon that only occurs when the friction between ash particles creates massive electrical discharges. These purple bolts of electricity dancing inside the dark ash clouds are the ultimate signature of a super eruption that is releasing energy beyond our human comprehension. Authorities ordered the evacuation of over 3,000 people, yet records show that only 517 individuals have actually left their homes to seek safety. This massive gap in safety compliance reveals a deadly psychological state where people have become so accustomed to the ash that they no longer fear the fire. The ground is literally roaring with the sound of breaking stone, yet life in the shadow of the mountain continues as if nothing extraordinary is happening. Every single hour, the magma reservoir deep underground is being recharged with new material, pushing the internal pressure to a point that cannot be sustained. We are witnessing the escalation of a disaster in real time, where every scientific indicator is shouting that the final catastrophic event is only moments away. If the northern dome collapses tonight, the resulting shockwave will be felt for dozens of miles, shattering windows and flattening everything in a 10-kilometer radius. The night sky over Halmahera Island is no longer dark, but glows with an eerie orange light that reflects off the thick blankets of falling ash. Local emergency teams are standing by with empty buses, waiting for people who are still choosing to stay and protect their farms and nutmeg harvests. This is the tragic reality of volcanic escalation, where the science of the mountain is perfectly clear, but the human response remains dangerously slow and uncertain. As the seismic dance grows more violent, the line between a controlled evacuation and a mass casualty event is becoming thinner with every passing minute. The world is watching a geological countdown where the final zero is not marked by a clock, but by a deafening explosion that will change the island forever. We must ask ourselves why we wait until the very last second to acknowledge a danger that has been staring us in the face for many years. Mount Ibu has been erupting steadily since the year 2008, creating a strange environment where the local population has literally grown used to the constant smell of sulfur. For over 16 consecutive years, the falling ash has become as ordinary as the daily tropical rain, leading to a dangerous psychological condition known as the normalcy bias. When a threat is present for thousands of days without causing a massive disaster, the human mind begins to believe that the mountain will never actually explode violently. Farmers continue to climb the steep volcanic slopes to harvest their precious nutmeg crops, ignoring the deep rumbling sounds that are currently shaking the very ground beneath their bare feet. They see the small plumes of smoke and think it is just another routine Tuesday, unaware that the internal structure of the crater is currently reaching its absolute physical limit. The question is no longer whether Mount Ibu will erupt, but rather if we are capable of recognizing the final warning signal before the entire northern flank collapses completely. Choosing between your livelihood and your life is a terrifying decision, especially when your family has farmed the rich volcanic soil for over 3 or 4 generations without incident. But the geological clock does not care about your history or your traditions, as it only follows the cold, hard laws of accumulated pressure and structural gravitational failure. As we stand on the edge of this imminent catastrophe, we must realize that nature often gives us many small whispers before it finally delivers one deafening and final scream. Will you be among the 500 people who chose to flee to safety, or will you stay behind with the 3,000 others waiting for a miracle? Please leave a comment below to tell us what you would do if you were standing in the shadow of a volcano that is about to disappear forever. Thank you for watching this deep investigation into the hidden dangers of Indonesia, and please remember that being prepared is the only way to survive a changing planet. Stay tuned for our next update as we continue to monitor the seismic activity and the growing dome of the most dangerous volcano on Halmahera Island right now. The mountain is watching, the sensors are screaming, and the world is waiting to see if the northern breach will finally release the fury of the deep earth. This has been a final warning for the people of Halmahera, a story of beauty and terror intertwined in a dance of fire and ash that never truly ends. We hope this video serves as a reminder to respect the awesome power of nature, which can give life through rich soil, but take it away in 30 seconds. Always trust the data, listen to the experts, and never let the illusion of safety blind you to the terrifying reality of a mountain that is ready to explode.